कर्मफल यदाचरित कल्याणी शुभं वा यदि वा शुभं तदेव लभते भद्रे कर्ता कर्मजमात्मनः।
ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaste. Many people have a lot of doubts about karma, and also how exactly do we define karma? How is it different from karma yoga? See, karma yoga actually comes at a much later stage when one really wants to do yoga in life, which means one has a spiritual purpose, so one is willing to give up the fruits of one's actions. Most people are not willing to do that. They are performing that action for a particular purpose, and they are very purposeful and expectant of the result of that action. So it is important then to know certain rules of karma, which are very, very, well established in Hinduism. Karma and reincarnation are huge pillars in Hindu philosophies, and that is why we will be discussing this karma Siddhant, not karma yoga. We have wonderful literature by Vivekananda on karma yoga. You can refer to that later on. But elementary knowledge of karma is karma Siddhant. Now, how is karma exactly defined? Karma comes from the dhatu kr, which means to do. But you must not mistake this to mean only what the body does. According to the model of human personality given to us by Hindu scriptures, we wear a five-fold body. The Annamaya Kosh, this physical body, then you have the Pranmaya Kosh, the vital sheath or the vital body, then the Manomaya Kosh, the mind, mental body, then the Vijnanmaya Kosh, the intellectual body, and the Anandamaya Kosh, which is the causal body. We wear all these bodies. So anything performed through any of these bodies is karma. Anything performed through all the Panchakoshas is considered karma, because it has the capacity to yield karma phal, which means every action produces a fruit, produces a result. It is actually the law of causation. There's a cause and there's an effect. Only thing is, in the world of karma, the exact relationship between these two cannot be found. What effect is due to what cause, you may not readily be able to see it. But there is definitely a causal effect to every action, and you can know the effect even when you see the cause. So the law of causation is essentially the law of karma. But karma is that which is produced from all the koshas. So even what we think, what we feel, the energies we exude, the intellectual activities we perform, the decisions we make, and the causal sheath, the source of our intelligence and will, the source from where awareness filters into the system. All of these, whatever these koshas, sheaths perform, it is all karma. So when we take this into consideration, we will see how much of our karma is really positive every day. We may be doing good works with our hands and feet, but we may be thinking bad of somebody. We may be hurting somebody mentally. We may be radiating negative energy. So this is all negative karma then. Our intelligence and decision making may not be for general welfare, for the good of all. This is also negative karma. So you see, you may be producing positive karma at a particular level, but negative karma at another level at the same time, and without conscious effort. Subconsciously you are acting in that state, so you are not even conscious of it. So this is a possibility. That is why, karma fails in its effect, which means we may be feeling, oh, my whole life I did only good. But no, you also did a considerable amount of negativity which you didn't realize. This is a possibility. So that is why then the karma phal will be mixed. If the karma is pure, karma phal will be pure. Karma is only positive, karma phal will be positive. Karma is mixed, karma phal also will be mixed. The result of that karma, which you can't see, but which will descend on us at some point or the other in life, this life or next life, anytime it can descend. That karma is directly proportional to the purity of our karma. That karma phal is proportional to the purity of the karma. So once we understand this, we will see that whatever is the output of this system, which includes all the koshas, I have to be careful about that. There is this beautiful incident in the Mahabharata, which I would like to point out towards. See, during the Mahabharata war, the Pandavas were finding it very difficult to defeat Bhishma, because we know Bhishma was the great grandsire of the family, Kuru family, and he was such a master of all the weaponry and such a good archer, and he was military person that nobody could defeat him, and he was killing scores of Pandavas the Pandavas army every day. So everybody was thinking, now how do we put him down, how do we defeat him? And everybody saw that Arjuna was quite partial towards Bhishma, he being the grandfather, and he would just not strike him down. So even Krishna noticed this, and it so happened that when there was a confrontation between Bhishma and Arjun, Krishna saw that Arjun was not doing justice at all. He could have killed Bhishma, but he is not doing that because of his inner softness. He feels that he is my own grandfather, and so how do I kill him? That hesitation is there, and that is why then Krishna, what does he do? There is this very important incident. He jumps from the chariot. He jumps down, and then he tells Arjuna that you will not be able to do this because you still have affection and you have attachment for your grandfather. But you, in spite of my telling you the entire Bhagavad Gita, and you know that here this is the karma bhumi where you have to only perform your dharma and vanquish the foes, you are not able to do that. So I myself will do it, Krishna says. I will break my vow of not taking any weapon in my hand, and I will call for the Sudarshan Chakra, and I will kill Bhishma. And what does Bhishma do? At this point, he drops his bow and arrow, and he joins his palms and says, this will be my greatest blessing if I am killed at your hands, O Keshava. I am ready. Please do justice to this entire thing. Now, when he says that, Bhishma also says, I have found that I have not done any bad in my life. I have done only good. So I am not scared, O Keshava. Please come and take my life. I will be very happy to die in your hands. Then at once Krishna says, no, what you are saying is not right. You have done a lot of wrong without realizing it. Without realizing it. Because although you kept to your vows, yes, he had taken all these vows that he will, that's why he is called Bhishma, that he will support the kingdom completely, the person who sits on the throne, and he will never ever think of owning the throne. He will give up all attachment to the throne. He will not even marry, so that he will not have progeny which will claim any kind of authority towards the throne. But he will support it always, and the person who sits on it will have his full support always. You kept to all these vows, but at crucial moments when you could have taken proper decisions and guided the person sitting on the throne, you failed. Krishna tells him that. And this is also karma. Decision making, he says, is the highest karma, because it comes directly from the Vijnanmaya Kosh. But you failed in that. And yes, with your hands and feet, you were always doing the right karma. That does not suffice. Even what you think, what you decide, what you commit towards. How can you commit yourself towards a chair upon which anybody can sit? So here, all these areas you failed. And that is why your karma phal is not all positive. And so don't claim, I being an Ashtavasu, all my karma phal is bright and positive. So now what is exactly he trying to convey? And then of course the incident, Arjun jumps down again and says, oh Lord, you please don't have to do this. I myself will kill Bhishma. Forgive me for transgressing my dharma. You please come. And so the fight between Krishna and Bhishma doesn't take place. But Krishna makes him know, makes him acknowledge that he has failed in his dharma. He points out to this also. Where did you fail? You failed in your decision making. When there were times, crucial times, when you could have made the right decision and put down the negative efforts of the Kauravas, you remained quiet. You remained quiet in the assembly when the Pandavas were repeatedly insulted in various ways. You remained quiet when Bhima was poisoned. When due to his hatred for Bhim, many times Duryodhan worked against him and in childhood even poisoned him. Although everybody came to know of the incident, they hushed it up. So you did not at that time stand up for what is righteous. You remained quiet when Draupadi Vastraharan took place. When Draupadi was insulted, you kept quiet. So at crucial moments, you kept quiet when you could have been the game changer. So because you did not make effective and powerful decisions at the right moment, you failed in your dharma. This is what he points out. Krishna points out to Bhishma. So you see, the point we have to understand here for our discussion is karma depends also upon what you think, what you decide, as a result of that, what you do. And if you are doing something good but thinking something bad, that will produce a mixed karma phal. So all this is very clear from the Hindu Shastras, especially Mahabharata is a great epic cum itihasa. It is a history, it is the history of India as well as an epic. So it teaches us great lessons. So once Bhishma understands this, at once he bows down and says, yes, my lord, I have failed in my karma. At certain places, I have failed in my karma. So please give me the punishment which I deserve. So that is how the story goes. But why I made this point is for us to understand that whatever the Panchakoshas produce is karma. And it will produce resultant karma phal. And the buddhi of a person, decision-making ability will be guided by that karma phal. This is another key idea from the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Where does our net karma phal or the resultant of all our karma reside? And don't imagine it resides on some cloud or in some heaven. It resides in our buddhi. This is what is said. Finally, the essence of it predetermines what decision you will take, predetermines your disposition, predetermines your thought, and as a result of which work is produced in the future. So take care of this. Finally, it is your karma that dictates your buddhi and the decisions you make. So all this is illustrated in our scriptures. What they are trying to tell us is be cautious and careful about your karma. The kind of energy you exude as a result of your thought, that is even more powerful. You may be feeding a person, but mentally cursing him. Why he came at this time? And so I had to give this away. So what's the point in that kind of a karma? So take care of the entire human personality, means not just body. It includes body, mind, this Panchakosha complex entirely. And whatever is produced from that contributes to karma. And it will give resultant karma phal. Now, there are three effects of karma which we should know. Whatever this system is producing, there are three effects to that. Usually, because we think I am the body, we see only the physical effect. Suppose you taught your a fellow student in your class. That person excelled in his exams, and so you think that is a good work. But, that's just the outer physical effect which is visible to you. There is an internal effect also produced. The exact motive with which you help that person in your class, that will produce a deep sanskar in your mind. This effect, the second effect of karma, is not visible. It is invisible. But it is there. And what is its nature? It has produced a deep sanskar in your mind. Suppose your motive in helping the boy in your class was you just want to share knowledge. The sanskar of knowledge deepened in your mind. Suppose your motive was, if I help him today, tomorrow he will help me. Then the sanskar of barter or business deepened in your mind. Suppose your motive was, if I don't help him, well, the teacher will scold me because I'm supposed to help. Then the fear of punishment sanskar will deepen in your mind. So according to your motive is the sanskar determined in your mind. This is the second effect of your karma. It is not just about, I helped that person and he did well in his exams. With what motive I helped that person became a permanent scar in my brain. It became my sanskar. So this is the internal invisible effect of karma. Every karma has this effect. Any work you do, the motive, that is why the Bhagavad Gita so much insists on the right motive. With the right motive you perform any action, the karma fal will be good. The result will be good. Why? Because the motive is so important. It is an internal effect which is not immediately visible, but it has a huge role, especially the karma fal it generates. You know, when you get a great sanskar, it creates a great life. So that's a very positive karma. So take care of this internal effect. This is what all our scriptures tell us. So there is an external effect, the physical effect which is visible, and there is an internal effect which is not visible. It's a mental effect. It is of the nature of producing sanskars for you. Every karma will produce sanskars. What is character? It is nothing but the bundle of your sanskars. So actually karma produces character. Karma generates character. As per our karma, as per our actions, produced by all the panchakoshas will be our character, will be our charitra. आज जब हम चरित्र गठन की बात करते हैं, चरित्र निर्माण की बात करते हैं, we must be very, very insistent on good, right work, right thoughts, right speech, right energy radiating through us. This is so very important. If this is done, automatically good sanskars are created. The bundle of your that total amount of sanskars is what is called character. So all of this, almost everything about human life is decided by karma. There is a third effect to karma also. We just now covered two effects, the physical effect and the mental effect. The third effect of karma is what is called the cosmic effect or karma shay. It is called technically. It is generally translated loosely as karma fal. It means every action that is performed produces a certain cosmic fruit which is not visible again, but it resides somewhere and it will come back to you at some point of time. अगर मैंने अच्छा किया हो, good karma fal will come back to me. अगर मैंने कुछ बुरा किया हो, the karma fal of that action also will come back to me at some point of time. Nobody can say when. So this is why it is called even adrishta, which means it decides our what is called fate. If a person continuously encounters good in life, it means there is very positive karma fal. The karma has been positive. If he encounters situations which are very negative, that also you see in common Indian languages we say adrishta. What I cannot see but what is written on my forehead. It is nothing but the net effect of the karma fal. The force you have put into motion is coming back to you. This is the cosmic third effect of karma. You cannot say karma shay, but you can feel it in your life. In fact, the first few years of every life, you are entirely running on your past karma shay. Because when a child is born, he is not in a poor position to decide where he will be born, to whom he will be born, what he will be doing, how much education he will get, what will be the circumstances of his earlier years, which determines to a large extent the psychology of his life, the psychology of his mind. All this he is not in control of, but it is the past karma fal which determines this to a great extent, and that is why attention has to be paid to this karma shay. What force finally we release, that force in all its power will come back to us and affect us at some point of time. This is the third cosmic effect of karma. Don't ask where does it reside and who's the karma phala data. The karma phala data is Ishvara himself, God himself, Sagun Brahman, which resides with him, and he gives back to each soul what he has released, what that soul has released. So take care of your actions on an everyday basis. Actions include thoughts, emotions, our general bhav, our disposition, everything that we do with the Panchakoshas, all of that is karma. So this is the essential of karma Siddhant, which we should know. The effects of karma are going to come back to us. They are going to descend on us exactly in the measure in which we release them. The power with which we release them, what we sow today, exactly that we will reap. This is given out in so many ways. If you read Indian mythology, history, the epics, everywhere you will see the play of karma and karma phal coming out, because it is so very important. I told you what the nature of the karma phal which you finally release. Because karma is physical, mental and cosmic, and the force you have released will come back on you. Here I can tell you a small story which will perhaps help us digest this point very well. They say this is a true story. It is also a common part of folklore. There were two friends. From childhood they had grown up in the same village, so they were very close to each other. But their sanskars were quite different. So once they finished their schooling, they decided to go to the city where they thought they will work at something, earn something, and if possible study a little more and then come back. So in those days, you see, communication, there was no such easy public transport systems as is found now. This happened many centuries back in one of the villages in India. So they went to a far-off city to earn a living and to earn a sizable sum of money which they can send home, and then to continue their education if possible, and then to return after a few years. So both of them left. The people in both the families were very happy. The parents were happy that our children are becoming independent. They blessed them and they sent them. Now these boys, both of them settled in a small place which they shared in the city, and then they started working. First of all, they had to work for their own survival. And fortunately, both of them were intelligent. They got good jobs. And so they worked for a few years. Then they earned enough money. They educated themselves for another 2 years. And then they got better paying jobs. So like this, after a period of about 8 years, they found that they were quite well to do now. They had a good sum of money. Now they thought they should return to their village and provide for their families, and then they can always come back and work again. So they worked for another 1 or 2 years and earned more money, and then started for their village together. Now both of them were traveling back to their village, and they had to spend the night in a small inn and then continue their journey the next day. So it so happened that these boys, who were just about 20, 22, some 24 years old, so it so happened that now they were no more boys, they were young men. So when they were in that inn, it suddenly occurred to one of them that we have earned a good sum of money, both of us, but if he was not there, I would have got that entire sum. I would have become really rich. Then I need not go back to the city and earn again. So it so happened that this overpowered him so much that night that he actually poisoned his friend. He mixed poison in his food and fed him, and that friend died. And this man took all his sampati, all that he had earned, and came back to the village weeping and saying that he died of food poisoning, and I tried so much to revive him, nothing could happen, he has died. And then he gave a small part of that money to that family, some 10%, and kept 90% with himself. He became quite rich now. He invested the money, and now he knew all the ways of the city. So he made good investments, and after a few years, he became really rich. And then his parents got him married. He had a very devoted wife. Then he had a child. And now he forgot all about that friend whom he had killed. Initially, he felt a little bad, but then he overcame it. and he thought that what he did was right. So he became gradually, by degrees, he became evil. And then he completely removed the thought of his friend from his mind. And then life went on. Now he had his own son, and life was very smooth, easy. He had a huge home built, and there was a car, everything that he could afford. And he was like one of the richest men in the village now. His son was such a beautiful child and so full of energy. He was the delight of both the parents. Now he wanted to educate his son well, so he got pundits from other villages and got his son a very good school education. Now he wanted him to make it big in a town, just like how he had gone. He wanted his son to do that and get more education there. All these plans he had for his son. But the moment his son turned 15, he suddenly had a terrible illness, a kind of sickness which nobody could actually remedy. He called all the doctors that were available at that time, the Vaidyas. They came with their treatment, Ayurvedic, homeopathy. Some tried all other kinds of medicine. But this child who constantly threw up, he could not get out of that illness. And he became so sick finally, in about a month's time, he was reduced to a skeleton, could not walk, and the mother was totally bereaved, always at the side of her child, and the father really did not know what to do. Only son, but they are not able to revive him in any way. Then finally, he came to it was the last day of his child's life. The boy was lying down, and he called out to both his parents and he said, "I am going to leave soon." Then he turned to his father and said, "But look into my eyes. Look deep into my eyes. Do you recognize me?" And then the father was so shocked. He said, "What?" And then he said, "No, I don't recognize you." The child said again, "Look at me, look deeply into my eyes. Do you recognize me?" Then he said, "I am your friend whom you killed. You killed me in that inn, you remember, just for my money. You poisoned my food. So I was reborn as your son because I wanted to give you a taste of what you have done. So I gave you this experience of having a son like me, and now I am departing, but you will suffer your whole life because one who loved you, who worked with you, you killed him so miserably. I am that very man who has come in this form." Saying this, the child died. Now this was such a shock to the father and then to the whole family, all the families, the entire village, that they say this man went into a completely sadhu-like life. He went into a life where he would devote it to sadhana, and because he could not overcome the regret of his life, he was so deeply pained. And everybody also came to know that he was the killer of his friend. So this, they say, is a true story, but I'm just telling you this to show how karma works. Karma and reincarnation, why are they huge pillars in Hindu philosophy is, until the point of realization, everything is karmic. Everything, the circumstances of our life, our birth, the people we meet, the experiences we have, our education, our interactions with others, our achievements, or whatever we face in life, everything is karmic in nature. And unless we have positive karma phal, you can't even lead a good life, not to speak of transcending this level of life and going into deep sadhana. So this is the basis of goodness, a good life, good action. All the Panchakoshas, that is the basis of, this is the first rung of the ladder. Only upon this you can build something huge. If this is not there, if fundamentally action is wrong, thought is weak, or thought is negative, nothing can be built in that life. So this has to be first corrected. That is the meaning of these stories. Not that we have to conclude that everything is karma, so I don't have to do anything, everything is predetermined. That is not the purpose of the karma theory. The purpose is, I will do so much of good now that I am ensured of a very positive karma phal so that I will augment my progress in life. Life after life, this is built up. So what you sow today, you are going to reap one day. And that is why take care. Live cautiously. Live sensitively. Live consciously. This is the actual meaning of karma Siddhant. The law of karma is inscrutable. It is not easy to understand. That is why the Bhagavad Gita says, Gahana karmano gati. It is a very deep law which is invisible on the surface. But by its effects, it can be known. And that is why the importance of taking care of the causes so that the effects we want can be produced. That is the whole point. Being careful and cautious about our actions. Another thing we should remember about the law of karma is this law almost entirely depends on our swadharma, which means the higher one's swadharma, the greater one's expected karma. And if one actually occupies a more responsible position in terms of, not just in some terms of social status, but even in terms of a moral responsibility, then one's karma is greater. One's karma should be greater in that position. Without which, suppose one has assumed a high responsibility and one's karma is not up to that mark. One falls short of one's dharma. One will definitely lose on one's karma phal. Even this is illustrated very beautifully in the stories of the Mahabharata. There is a book called Many Mansions. If you have read it, you will see there it is nothing but a book on karma theory and reincarnation. And then you have a mystic, Edgar Cayce, tracing exactly the causes to their effects and giving the causal reasons for the effects of karma seen in particular people. So they were famous in his time as Cayce readings. And in those readings, he would actually, being a mystic, he could he could actually go deep into the collective unconscious and draw solutions to many health problems, mental problems, all these issues. And he traced them to karmic causes, exactly. So there is the story of, a particular story of a nun. She was actually an abbess of a huge monastery long back. This is an actual incident, sometime I think in the 18th century or so. So she was a nun, so very huge moral responsibility. But it says that she exploited her position. The story goes like that. And she brought a lot of pain to her fellow nuns and to people around her. And as a result, because she failed in such a great dharma, she should have been the mother of all. But because she failed in that dharma, she came to very bad circumstances, which she could not overcome. So when she went for a reading in one of this life, you see, she was a nun in past, I think 3 lives before this life. But when she went for a reading, due to the very bad depressive circumstances she was in, Edgar Cayce said 3 times you were born in good circumstances. Once you were a nun, and yet you did not live up to your dharma. And that is why today these circumstances, the bad circumstances, you are not able to overcome. So this is how karma works. The greater one's moral responsibility, the greater must be one's karma. The higher one's swadharma, what one has chosen to adopt in life, according to that must be one's karma. If one does not meet that standard, falls lower than that standard, then one has to face one's karma phal. So this is a law which, cannot be transgressed, which means it will work itself out in our lives. All that we have hold over is our present day karma. Make sure that it is conscious, it is benign, it brings good to others, it is unselfish. This is what we can work upon. So there's no point in thinking what my prarabdha must have been and what my sanchita must have been. It is important to see that my today's karma befits the future I want to make for myself. this is the only thing which we have control over. So this brings us to the concept of dhan. You see, there is a way of overcoming past negative karmas. And in earlier times, it used to be called prayaschita, which means you can annul the effects of past karmas through present actions. And one way of doing it is giving in charity. That also there are different gradations. There is annadanam, vidyadanam, jnanadanam. Annadanam is considered the first thing. If you can feed others, that is a huge merit. It is a punya karma, and so it will give very good karma phal. But higher than that is vidyadanam, which means, you see, you can offer a plate of food to a person, but if you teach him how to cook his own food, how to grow his own vegetables and rice or wheat, whatever, then it is doing him a greater favor. So that is called vidyadan. It is also great in its effect. And then is jnanadan, the giving of spiritual knowledge, because that removes one from all material miseries, the miseries of material existence. So all these forms of dhanam are spoken of, giving in charity and austerity in one's own life. Just extravagancy, and this does not befit one who has become conscious of karma and karma phal. Whatever is in our means, it is meant for the welfare of all. If this much comes into our life, I think it will create a huge difference in our societies. So the law of karma is actually telling us this. You are only a trustee of what you have. You are not the owner. That has come to you through so many people's labor. How are you paying back there? For a simple plate of food to come before you, how many people have labored? What have we paid back to them for that plate of food? We don't even recognize this. So the message of all the scriptures is, make sure that you keep for yourself from what you have earned, keep for yourself what you require, the rest give it back to society in some way or the other. And this applies not just to money, it applies also to food, wealth, knowledge, and whatever is in your means to give. For some people it may be physical help, for some people it may be mental and intellectual help. In whatever means you can, make sure you maintain the balance sheet, because this is the only bank account which actually goes with us, our karmic account. Nothing else will stay. So make sure of these. So all these forms of making good for whatever negative karma has been produced in the past are there. And if they are resorted to, we always keep a clean account. We make sure that we have given enough into universal life, more than what we have taken from it. That will give us a very positive karmic backpack to travel with, so that you now will only make progress further and further in life. So this is elementary to spiritual discipline and sadhana. Without having very good karma, one does not progress far in spiritual life. One will turn back in various ways. So make sure of this. This is what the scriptures say. It is from karma that everything in this universe is born. This idea is there even in the Bhagavad Gita. Yajñāt bhavati parjanyāt anna sambhavaha. And from, which means it is through yajñas that even rain falls. And from rain comes food. From food come human beings and animals, life on earth. It's all due to yajna. Which means it is all a huge, vast, cosmic sacrifice going on. And each one of us has to play our part in that sacrifice. We have to give what we have to give, because we are unconsciously taking so much from life. To recognize this is the spirit of yajna. Elsewhere I have covered yajna extensively, so I will not go into that. Yajna is the understanding and acknowledgement that I am part of universal life. I am not an island in myself. So whatever I receive in my life, I must be able to pay back more. I must be able to put in place whatever I have drawn from universal life. If I am not able to do that, I will concur negative karma phal without even my knowledge. So to be able to replenish life in all its various facets to the extent possible, this is doing positive karma. So all this is part of karma Siddhant. If children are taught all this right from school, keep your accounts clear in every way. Even intelligence grows with karma. If there is enough good karma, the intelligence will sparkle. Otherwise, it will become dull. It will become tamasic. So karma decides almost everything about human life. Before we learn to transcend mind, everything is karmic in nature. So a really intelligent person will make sure his karma always remains very positive. Then we have the different types of karma. See, this is very important to understand, even in not just as a philosophy, as in psychological terms. How exactly does a man transform his own life? For this, we have to understand the 3 types of karma that play in human life. This is how it is seen in our scriptures. A huge discussion is there on this. There are 3 types of karma, they say. The first type is what is called sanchita karma, which means the total karma fall of all actions performed over all the births we have had. That is called sanchita. You can say it's like the capital you have. The entire quantity of karma fall which you have gathered so far. So that is called sanchita. A bit of that is given for you to exhaust in this life. To each one of us, a bit of that, a slice of that is given, and that is called the prarabdha. So you see, sanchita and prarabdha are in a sense fixed. You can't do anything about them just now. They are sort of fixed, but there is a third type of karma called agami karma, which means what I do now. If I keep doing enough good now, I will gradually change my prarabdha, and if I am able to do great good, it will even change my sanchita karma. So what I am able to do now, what can be consciously done in the present, is agami karma. Prarabdha karma is only a slice of sanchita karma. So that is why the word prarabdha is so much used in Indian languages, for the simple reason it has come with me. I have not done anything of it here now in this life, but it has come with me because it has been the product of my past actions. So this prarabdha decides almost everything in the first years of our life, where we are born, to which parents, to in what state, in what circumstance, and how we progress in our childhood, and the education we receive, the environment we receive, the culture we receive, and the learning capacities we have. And then it also affects the future events of our life, the career we will take up, the kinds of jobs we will have, the interactions we will have, the relationships we will have, all of this. In fact, even marriage, children and death, all these are attributed to prarabdha karma. But then what is the role of agami? Suppose my prarabdha is fixed. To a great extent it may be fixed, but through my everyday actions, right thinking, right decision making, I can change the direction of my prarabdha karma. I can change the effects of my prarabdha karma. So to a great extent this is possible because agami karma is what I will do now in my present. So through such karma, as I told you, punya karma, meritorious acts, if they are practiced in everyday life, definitely the prarabdha, even if it was negative, it will veer around. It will turn around and yield positive results. And if agami is not taken care of, you go by the course of your prarabdha karma. So this is the understanding. The purpose of giving us these 3 types of karma is not to say that, well, everything is fixed in your life, it's predetermined. That is not the purpose. The purpose is, see, this is the situation. You have come with this much. Now, with your actions, you can move either forward or backward, any direction you want. So that is why Vivekananda said, you are the creator of your destiny. Isn't it? He would always insist on this, especially for young people, because you have been given a certain amount of free will. A certain amount, not fully. If you exercise it in the right direction again and again, If your agami karma is always positive, the karma fal yet to come will always be good. As a result, your prarabdha will keep changing. So you see, the reins of our life are in our hands. Indeed, when we keep exercising the will in the right direction, gradually we see that a large part of our lives come in our hands. So no use blaming fate or adrishta or prarabdha or whatever Sanskrit words we can think of. No use putting blame on anything else. My present action will determine my destiny, my future. Whatever is in the past, I cannot change. But my present action can change that, can change my prarabdha. This is the understanding. That is why always the insistence, even in our scriptures, has been on right action now. Right thoughts, the right kind of intention, the right motive in everything, a pure motive, calibrated and committed actions, and good intent towards all, goodwill. So gradually as we go on exercising the will in the right direction like this, one day the will become really free. When we have had enough good karma, so that any negative effect of sanchita and prarabdha is wiped out, the will become free. When the mind transcends itself, we manufacture what is called free will. There's this huge debate going on in philosophical circles, whether predeterminism or determinism is the truth or free will is the truth. So all the spiritual masters have said this, that determinism, there is great truth in it. A large part of our life is predetermined, but if we keep on exercising the will in the right direction, when we attain freedom, we get free will. The free have free will, Vivekananda said. So if you actually dive deep into this concept, you will see that it is true that a large part of our life is predetermined by a whole lot of factors which we are not in control of. But this much we can understand, that we can make changes gradually, step by step, working day by day. Because if you observe your life just now and see, as they say, you see, man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills by himself. The will itself is limited, and it is determined by a whole lot of factors. So in order to will what he wants to will, he must have enough backing of good karma. So the resultant of all our actions, finally, as that cosmic karmafal resides in our buddhi. To be able to exercise buddhi in the right direction, also you require good karma behind you. Otherwise, it is not possible. You ask any criminal and see, why did his buddhi fail at the moment of test? He will tell you, I was not in control of myself. So the everyday karma that we build up, that will go to even determine the intelligence, our intelligence and our decision making. So take care of your agami karma. This is the most important message, so that we really become the creators of our destiny. What we are going to sow today, that crop we are going to reap tomorrow. Knowing this and knowing very well that we have a charge over our own destiny, we are the makers of our own destiny, we must put our effort in refining our agami karma and making sure that all the forces we throw out are always positive. Our thought, our vital energies, our intent, our emotion, our actions, everything remains positive. It is for the good of everyone. If we are truly intelligent, we will committedly do this. If we are dim in intelligence, we will compromise on this and suffer it. That is the whole idea. I can give you here beautifully the example of Arjun and Karna in Mahabharata. See, Arjun was born into a great family and he had all excellent circumstances. Although not right from the beginning, he had to struggle a bit, but whatever it is, through his self-effort and through his family background, he made a name for himself. But Karna, right from the beginning, suffered, a kind of bad identity. And he was always considered to be like not of the higher caste, and that is why he was sidelined. Everywhere it was a struggle for him. But still, out of his will, exercising it in the right direction, he really made a name for himself. The struggle he put up was greater. But you see how agami changes the prarabdha. You can see it clearly in these lives. But if he had continued the exertion of that will in the right direction, he would have progressed spiritually, Godward. But there came an obstacle for him in the form of Duryodhana himself. He felt so grateful to him that he compromised on his behavior, his character, and actually became so close to Duryodhana that he could not leave him. And bad company produces only bad results. So as a result of that, finally Karna lost. But the idea we have to take there is how he exercised his will right from the beginning in the right direction and made his destiny truly great. He was a great man, no doubt, with very many wonderful qualities, all because he understood how karma works. Ultimately, you are in charge of your destiny. And if you keep doing the right things, God himself, the divine himself, comes and helps. And one who is not tatpar about this, one who is not committed to moving in the right direction, performing the right actions, even with effort, then everything is removed from him. Gradually he sinks into negativities. This is the whole point. One important insight I would like to throw here before I conclude. See, Sri Ramakrishna gave the very beautiful example of if a cow was tied to a pole and it was given only a small area of grass to munch. But if it cleared that area and moved and told its owner that it wants to eat more, he would definitely extend the rope or tie it to a different place. Isn't it? So human will is like that. Sri Ramakrishna would say, some amount of freedom has been given for us. If we exercise it in the right direction and appeal to the owner, he will give us a longer tether of rope. So in human life also you will see the will is limited. It is limited by a whole lot of factors, and that is why to a great extent human life is deterministic. But if you keep exercising it in the right direction and appeal to the owner, appeal to God, he will increase the tether of that rope. He will give us more and more free will. At a certain point, he will free us. So the free have free will, Vivekananda used to say. So this is a possibility if the will is exercised in the right direction and real sadhana is performed. So you see, karma is not finally a tyrannical law which you can't overcome, under which we have to live all through. No, it's not like that. The effects of karma can be modified through right actions. The karma phal can be changed through changing agami karma. And instead of dwelling too much on sanchita karma and prarabdha karma, if your everyday actions bear the mark of excellence, good intent, and all-encompassing love and service, you can be sure that that karma will liberate you. It will produce wonderful karma phal. And that is when a man gets the mati to do karma yoga. So long we have only been discussing karma Siddhant, the effects of karma and how karma works. But once one has crossed the threshold of karma Siddhant, one enters the realm of karma yoga when one has sufficiently ripened to understand this much, that the purpose of life is yoga, not merely karma. That is when one transcends this threshold of karma Siddhant and enters the world of karma yoga, one naturally feels like doing selfless actions because he has understood that far beyond this realm of karma and karma phal lies the spiritual realm. The realm where selfless action is the law. Because the world belongs to God, and this very action is my form of seva, service to the Lord. It is worship of the Lord alone through service to everyone. So this is the spiritual development which comes as a result of Karma Siddhant. This is the expected spiritual development that should come once we understand Karma Siddhant. But if we are not firmly well versed with this Karma Siddhant, we will not understand the importance of action and thought. So initially this knowledge is required, gradually it progresses into Karma Yoga. With this, I would like to conclude. A whole lot of students asked for the fundamentals of Karma Siddhant. So we have produced this video. I hope these concepts are all clear. What is fate? What is destiny? How you can change them? How your Prarabdha and Sanchita are connected? How Agami and Sanchita are connected? How through your Agami Karma you can change everything and you are the makers of your destiny. If this much has gone into us, I think Karma Siddhanta has been well understood. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.